Welcome back into the Big Skin Cafe. My name is Hampton Sipper, and I'm usually joined by Mr. Graham Haney, but we gave him the day off today, and in his place, we have Mr. Boo Shirley joining the show to break down Week 9 of college football. We're going to kick off the show with Alabama escaping Columbia, South Carolina with a major victory and hit a few other major points from across the country. But before we get into that, be sure, if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, leave us a like on the video, leave us a comment, and hit that notification bell. We're almost to 400 subs, and we need your help to get there. So please, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Now, with that all out of the way, Boo, we're happy to have you today, man, and let's get right into it. Alabama goes in to Columbia, South Carolina. They play a 3-4 South Carolina team who had lofty preseason expectations coming into the year, and they have fallen short, but you knew that this was going to be their biggest game of the year. They were in wounded animal mode. They were backed into a corner, and you knew you were going to get their best shot. And Alabama sustained and endured that best shot and eked out a victory in a very sloppy and very ugly fashion. So I want to get your first impressions. Alabama wins 29-22. What was your kind of overarching takeaway, your main takeaway from this victory for the Crimson Tide?
Yeah, man, it's just they found a way to win. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I've been very critical of the coaching staff over the past 2 years. I'm still kind of critical of them, but I mean, that was just really showed who they were as a team, kind of showed they were growing up a little bit. Whereas when we were at FSU, it was just kind of, oh no, what do we do now? Everybody's kind of looking around. And
Mm-hmm.
I really think Ty has a lot to do with that. I mean, that dude's a leader. I mean, just the guys seem to respond to him. Dude's just a dog, honestly, just a dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with all that, Boo, and I think there are many differences from last year's team to this year's team. I don't think there's any question about that, and I'm not going to get into all of them here. But the ability to handle adversity, we have said that continuously throughout this 4 or 5 game stretch that Alabama's been on, but it was personified last night in Columbia. Alabama probably played their worst ball game as a whole collectively since FSU. And I don't think it was they didn't play with effort or they didn't come out and try to play with intensity. That is just what happens naturally when you play a gauntlet. You played 4 straight top 25 ranked teams in a row. And when you get to the end of that stretch, you're spent both physically and emotionally. I mean, it's just, I have watched too many football games and too many Alabama seasons to not know that that is a reality. But the great teams, and what Alabama failed to do last year when they didn't have their fastball or when things weren't going their way, they never responded. But this team, they're down 7 going into the fourth quarter, and they rip off a 14-play, 79-yard drive, 7.5 minutes off the clock, and tie the game up. And like you said, Boo, I think it goes back to the quarterback. The leadership that the quarterback, Ty Simpson, has provided this year, I don't think you can quantify it. I don't think you can quantify it of how valuable it has been. I know I read a piece by Aaron Suttles, and he said all throughout that game, Ty's going up and down the sideline telling everybody, hey, I got your back. Hey, I got your back. And, Kalen DeBoer constantly says, play for your buddy. Play for the guy next to you. If one guy makes a mistake, you strain, you put that extra level of effort in to cover up for them. And I just thought you saw that, especially in that fourth quarter. I thought you saw it, frankly, from the defense the entire game. But, I mean, that is just, to me, that win shows the difference in culture from last year to this year. And I think it's a testament to the leadership on this team with Ty Simpson and the other 3 captains and other guys like Jeremy Bernard, who probably should be a captain, but also how this coaching staff has radically kind of changed this program and re-implemented a level of mental toughness a level of intensity and commitment that was lacking last year. And the final point I want to make on this before I kick it to you to kind of get your thoughts on the offense, because I think there's a lot to break down on that side of the ball, because we do want to celebrate the win. And Alabama fans need to be grateful for the win. No matter how ugly it was always going to be tough after the stretch that they went through. But I think people kind of forget that even under the heights of Nick Saban, there were plenty of games you go throughout any year where Alabama played a team that they were way more talented than, and they had to sometimes make a play here and there to eke out a victory. I think of Arkansas 2014. You go up there, you win 14-13 in an ugly, ugly, ugly ball game. I think of 2009. You had when you played Tennessee and you won 12-10, and you had a gauntlet of games, and that was the last game before the bye, and you barely eked that out. I mean, there are numerous examples throughout the year of that happening, but great teams, championship teams, always find a way. And I think that is what that team showed on Saturday night. But Boo, react to that if you would like to. But I really want to hear what you thought of the offense. Ty Simpson didn't have his best day. The offense was disjointed as a whole. But like we talked about, when it mattered most, they made the plays that need to be made.
Well, I mean, offensively, I just feel like we're kind of a one-trick pony right now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as much as I say run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, I know you can't do it every time. But I mean, in my notes, I'm showing Ty threw the ball 43 times. To me, that's not a recipe to win. I'm glad we did win, but I mean, you've got your running back, 10 attempts, 26 yards. I mean, that's not very, that's not very good. But also with that, I mean, we want to run these play actions, and I notice that a lot. We want the big play, it seems like every time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think you can't do that. You can't. And we give up on the run, and then we go to 43 attempts, and oh my goodness, we're about to lose to South Carolina. Like, more balance. But I don't think it's the running back's fault necessarily. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when the offensive line's not getting the push that they need to, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter who you have back there. If you're not getting a push on the offensive line, I mean, nobody's going to get any yards. But I would like to shout out Hill, the running back in the receiving game, though.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, he was just, it seemed like he was in the right place at the right time, and they gave him opportunities, and he just made them. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Daniel Hill. I mean, he was Alabama's leading receiver yesterday in terms
Yeah.
of yardage. He had the big conversion, I believe it was on 3rd and 20, kind of ran a curl, made a guy miss, goes 20 yards in the field, and then he had a really, really nice improvisational type play where,
Hmm.
again, pressure comes in on Ty evades it, goes to the right, throws it to him up the sideline. Um, he's got really good instincts as a receiver, and I think he's going to become an even more vital part of this offense down the stretch. But, um, I kind of mentioned it in my opening. This wasn't Ty's best day by any stretch of the
Hmm.
imagination. I think anybody, um, watching the game, he was a little bit off here, a little bit off there. Um, especially I felt like in the third quarter, the final two drives, he missed the throw to Germ, which I'm very interested to kind of see an end zone angle of that because it almost looked like it went through Germ's hands. It was still a high ball, needs to be on him a little bit better. Um, but he had that pass, and then he had the underthrow to Germ on the next possession. And so, to me, the third quarter was like everybody taking a turn of screwing up, whether it be Ryan
Hmm.
Williams dropping a ball on 4th down, whether it be the offensive line just getting absolutely blown up at the point of attack, whether it be Ty missing a pass, whether it be, like you said, Boo, not staying committed to the run game. And, I had our good friend Chase Haney, he texted me last night. He's like, dude, why can't we run the football? And I think I don't think it's just one thing. And I kind of want to get your thoughts on this and what you think the main culprit is as to why they can't. But like, I think part of it is you don't have elite running back personnel. We've said that all year. I think you've got really solid backs. I think Jam Miller is a solid to good back. I think Daniel Hill is going to be better as he gets more reps under him, but none of them are elite. So if it's not blocked up perfectly, those guys aren't going to turn, like a gain of nothing into a gain of 2 or 3 usually, because they're just not elite backs. I think part of it is the personnel that you have on the offensive line, especially at guard. I don't think this coaching staff, they have the personnel at guard that they would like, you know, in a in an ideal world to run this system. No disrespect to the guys playing guard right now. I just don't think they generate enough push and physicality in the run game to really kind of be road graders in that sense. I think part of it is a commitment because, I mean, Boo, you said it. Ty threw it 43 times, but he probably dropped back to throw like 50. Which, what other game did that happen in? Florida State, where you had a very similar type of offensive performance. You can't do that. You have to have a little bit more commitment to the running game. And I feel like when it doesn't work early, Grubb gets away from it. And then there's like a token, oh, okay, well, we'll, run it here just to say that we did it, but it doesn't really come in the flow of the game. And then another thing that I think that they need to do more of, Alabama's best runs to me, they came on the final 2 drives, but it also came when they ran it outside. Like, I know they had a toss where Parker Brailsford pulled, and you had Daniel Hill kind of running a toss out of the pistol formation, and they did that really effectively against Tennessee. So I think that is part of it as well. I know Alabama's a passing attack, but I don't know if I think you would agree with me, Boo. If they don't improve at running the ball, I don't think they're going to be able to win a national championship.
Yeah, but I mean, there's times when they actually commit to running the ball. I mean, we'll use
Mm-hmm.
Vandy as an example. I mean, we can do it if they just line
Yeah.
up and say, "Hey, we're going to run this football." But it goes back to, I do not think Grubb likes to run the football.
No.
At the end of the day, if he could throw the ball 70 times a game and never have to run it, he never would. He just enjoys, and I know he's a great play caller. Man, that backyard football stuff that he did for the extra point or the
Sexy,
2 point
man.
conversion. I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking like, oh my goodness, that's something that we used to draw up at the playground and it worked. Like, how
Yeah.
about that?
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think that he wants to stay committed to it. I mean, but you're going to have to at some point because, I mean, I'd hate to play Georgia again. Kirby's watching.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't think he's going to say, okay, guys, y'all are going to run the ball on us. That's how you're going to beat us.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do it? I don't know. I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Because eventually another coach is going to make us do that.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I think that's a great point. I don't think sometimes it's not a thing of you can't. It's just that commitment factor. Because, like you said, they ran it
Mhm.
effectively against Vandy. I thought for the most part it wasn't incredible against Missouri, but Jam averaged like 5 yards a carry. I'll take that every game against an SEC defense. Every
I
game.
mean, if you look at Jam's stats, I mean, I'm pretty sure it hurt him this past game, but I mean, he was averaging over 4 yards a carry for the year before this game. So I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
can run the ball. We just got to do
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And even I will say, I'll say 2 things, and then we can kind of move on. Because I think I want to talk about the receivers and I want to talk about the offensive line
Mhm.
because we need to spend a little time on the O line, especially.
Yes.
But even though Grubb sometimes abandons the run, which is again why he got fired in Seattle. He got fired because he would abandon the run and he would not commit to it with the backs that they had at their disposal there. But even when he's not calling for and staying committed to that traditional run game, he is still calling plays to kind of generate and have an extension of the run game in the aggregate with the quick passing game, the bubble screens, the end arounds to Jeremy, all those kinds of things to kind of generate and put together some yardage to account for that running threat. He does do a good job of that, but like you said, Boo, I think down the stretch they've got to be better at that. And I do think this is interesting, and I went back and looked this up. At Washington in 2022 and 2023, they really started to run the ball effectively in the month of November. In 2022, they went from averaging, I think in August, September, they averaged 4 yards per carry in those set of games. In the month of October, it dipped to about 3, and then it jumped to 6 yards per carry in the month of November. Then in 2023 with Dylan Johnson, they didn't run the ball effectively all year. He had similar stat lines to what Jameis had. Then he exploded against USC, had a couple other big games down the stretch, including about 150 versus Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. You got to hope that going into this bye, being able to self-scout and evaluate your strengths and weaknesses and areas that you need to improve on, that maybe you can find something on tape and find something that can really generate and get this running game going. Feel free to react to that if you would like. But I want to ask about the offensive line. How would, personally, I thought they played the worst that they have played since FSU. How would you evaluate that unit and their performance yesterday?
Do we have another right tackle? And I hate to be critical like that, but is there? I think Formby's a guard. I really do.
Yeah.
Is there? Do we not have anything? I mean, because to me that's the biggest flaw. But
Mm-hmm.
then you've got Proctor, freak of nature. I mean, dude's a heck of an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like when he, who's the defensive end for South Carolina? Was it Stewart that was whooping him the whole night?
There was Stewart, and then there was a last name Thomas. I think his name might
Tom.
be Brian Thomas or Xavier Thomas.
Okay.
One of them. He was eating his lunch pretty
Yeah.
good.
But I mean, you're a supposedly top five pick, top five offensive lineman. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I expect a little bit. How many pressures did he give up? Was it two or three?
For Proctor, according to PFF, and PFF is not the gospel, they said that he gave up 1 pressure and that Formby gave up 4. I went back and rewatched
One.
that game last night. I don't know what they were watching to see that Proctor only gave up 1 pressure.
Yeah.
I saw multiple on the TV copy. I can think of 3 instances off the top of my head, so I don't know where they got 1 from.
Yeah. And I feel bad for Formby because I really do feel like he's trying, but I
Oh
just
yeah,
don't think he has the ability that he needs to play right tackle.
I tend to agree with you. Graham, when after the Missouri game, I called him I-75 because Formby's just letting everybody through. And look, I think Wilkin is a great kid. He works his tail off. I actually thought he played really well against Tennessee. That was one of his better games of the year. And I get that you're going up against Dylan Stewart, which I want to give credit to that South Carolina front. They were playing their tails off yesterday, and they really owned the line of scrimmage, especially defensively versus Alabama yesterday. And I know Dylan Stewart's going to be a top round pick, but he really struggles with speed. He isn't very physical in the run game, in my opinion. He misses way too many blocks. There's too many plays where he's just on his butt on the ground because he either oversets and kind of over lunges and gets off balance, or there's that play. I believe it was the second or third drive of the game. They have Jeremy in the backfield. They give it to him, and he gets in the way of Cuevas, who's trying to come down and seal on Stewart, and he just comes on through. And, I think it's just part of it is just him being limited athletically. And I know Michael Carroll came in, and he had a big penalty against Dylan Stewart where you got a first down with Jam, and they call hands to the face. But part of me is willing to live with those mistakes because of the potential upside that Michael Carroll gives you that Wilkin Formby will never give you. And that's no disrespect to Wilkin. It's just, I think we have enough of a sample size at this time in the season to kind of know what his strengths and weaknesses are. And when he's playing a speed rusher, it is no bueno for him. It is not good at all. And, I talked about the interior and the guards not playing particularly well. They kind of rotated Cam Dewberry and William Sanders on that left side again throughout this game. Jaden Roberts played the entire game at right guard. And I do want to give Wilkin credit that on Germ's final touchdown, which, again, another incredible play call by Ryan Grubb. Wilkin did a good job of sealing the edge so that Wilkin could that Germ could get around and get in for the score. But you mentioned Proctor. Proctor has been great since the Florida State game. He was awful yesterday. Not only in run blocking, I mean, there was a play on 3rd and 1. They give it to Daniel Hill, and he just completely gets ran through. And there were a couple instances like that. And then, I mean, there was one play that he got hit with a spin move and got beat inside really bad. Couple plays where he didn't block at all. And I think this perfectly encapsulates the O-line performance, Boo. You have a max protection called with 8 guys in the block, and they still get pressure on Ty and sack him. That's just inexcusable. Just absolutely inexcusable. And I will give them credit on the final 2 drives. They bowed up. They did a much better job. But if anything is going to keep Alabama from winning a championship and achieving their goals for the year, it's going to be that offensive line. What do you make of that? And what did you make of the performance of the wide receivers yesterday who were missing Lotzier Brooks, who's been critical for this team, and also Isaiah Horton, who got hurt in the first half and didn't really play in the second?
I say, yeah, with the offensive line, I mean, you really hit the nail on the head. I mean, they've got to gel. And it's something that I kind of wonder about. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
know we're rotating a lot of people and trying them out here and trying them out there, but like, at what point in time do we need to kind of get that core and, chemistry's got to be built? Because, I mean, let's say we do make it to the playoffs. I mean, we need those same guys out there that know how to play, all
Mm-hmm.
on the same page. But yeah, other than that, and what was your question after that? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And I agree with you. I think the bye week, that is the time where you need to settle on the 5 offensive linemen and stop rotating, because
Mhm.
that unit really does need to gel and kind of get ready for this home stretch. So I completely agree with you there. My question was about the receivers. You had Lotzier out. You had Horton, who
Mhm.
missed the second half. What did you make of that group's performance against South Carolina yesterday?
It was kind of, to me, it was okay. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, lots of drops. They definitely had lots of opportunities, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Ryan is still, he's growing on me, but I still don't
He's growing
think
on me.
that, I mean, you know how I feel about Ryan. He could be so great, but I just don't see, and he's 18, I know, so that probably has a lot to do with it. Bernard, he looked a little off yesterday. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what was going on with him. He just kind of looked a little off for him. I wish we would involve our tight ends more. I mean, we've got some dudes at tight end.
I
Got
love
some
Josh Cuevas
dudes.
too.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not, don't hold me to this because I'm not sure, but didn't DeBoer always have good tight ends when he was at Washington? He was killing it.
Um, they had tight ends were pretty vital parts of their offense. I can't remember because Cuevas did not start for them in 2023. They had another guy
Mhm.
that they utilized a good bit.
Mhm.
Because so I do think you're right that they're a pretty big part of the offense usually. Hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what was the deal with Horton?
So he got banged up at the end of the first half, and then he never came back in the game. Um,
Uh,
and that is the second time that has happened this year. Do you know the other time that happened?
What was that?
Florida State. Florida State, he
Oh
got banged up in
God.
the first half and didn't play the second half. Um, so I don't. I think he's another. You kind of saw
Mhm.
him being missed yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of like you on the receivers. I think Germ is, other than maybe Ty on offense, he's the most valuable
Mhm.
player on this team. I know
Yeah.
Tim Keenan, I believe, is the one who said it, and there have been other people who have said it. He is the Debo Samuel of this offense. He's a Swiss Army knife that they utilize in a variety of ways, whether it be in the backfield, whether it be catching direct snaps. He can play in the slot. He can play close to the line, close to the tight end in bunch
Mhm.
formation and kind of help block down. He can do it all. But even him, as great as he was yesterday, catching the game tying touchdown and then running it in for the game winning touchdown, I think he left some plays out there because he had a drop on a slant that was thrown perfectly. He dropped that. And then there were a couple deep balls, particularly the one before the half that I think Ty threw absolutely perfectly. And he kind of slowed up to kind of get the DB to bump into him to force pass interference. If he keeps running, it hits him right in stride. And there were a couple times during the game where Ty did absolutely miss on the deep passes, which I thought was kind of interesting that this was the game that they chose to break out the vertical passing game where we're going to throw it 6 or 7 times down the field when we really haven't done that for the majority of the year, especially when the offensive line was having difficulty protecting. That didn't make a ton of sense to me. But they were just off on a few of them. Like even the one that he threw to Ryan, like he's off by a yard and he threw it 65 yards in the air, and pressure again off the left side kind of threw off the timing of that play. Ryan, like the drop, look, he had a great game last week, but man, the drops are so infuriating, man. They are so infuriating because that was again at a critical moment in the game. I think if he catches it there, they go down and score. We're not in the situation that we are in at the beginning of the fourth quarter with South Carolina taking the lead. Because it went from he dropped that, then the next play they went long for a touchdown. And even on another play, do you remember the play where Ty kind of hit him across the middle and he jumped?
Hmm.
He
Yeah.
didn't have to jump for go back and watch it. He didn't have to jump for that ball. If he just runs through it, it hits him in stride and he gets another 20.
No,
So it's
he likes the drama. You know how it is. He likes the drama.
he likes the drama. I think that's part of it, but I also think he's just so in his head about catching the football. And it's almost like paralysis by analysis in a lot of ways. But Rico Scott, I thought, as the third guy in, I don't think he played great. He had a drop or two. He had a play where he could have kept blocking on a tie keeper that would have resulted in a touchdown if he holds his block for another second or two. So they, I think, severely missed Latsier Brooks and Isaiah Horton in that game. But the good thing is you got to buy to kind of get them back. And even though the offense wet the bed for the majority of the game, I think they had 5 3-and-outs, which is probably as many as they've had all year. In the critical moments on the critical downs, whether it be 2 third downs on the second to final drive of the game, whether it be converting a fourth down on the goal line, which was a ballsy call by Kalen DeBoer to not kick the field goal, to go for it. He throws a touchdown to your boy Cuevas, who again not only catches the ball well, but he does a great job blocking, great job of doing the little stuff that goes underappreciated. This offense got it done when it needed to, and Ty came up big when he was needed most. So, any more thoughts on the offense, Boo, before we kind of transition to the defense?
But yeah, there was a play that really stuck out to me. I can't remember if it was to Bernard or not. There was a deep post. Was it in the third or fourth quarter
Fourth quarter.
where the guy that South Carolina DB just made a heck of a play? I mean,
Yep.
that was just, man, good on both of them right there. But I mean, there was, like you said, with the deep ball. I mean, we're a yard, you know, ball goes a yard further here, a yard further there, and it almost kind of looks like a blowout.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
I totally agree. And I'm glad you brought that play up because that was on the drive that they went down to tie it.
yeah.
And man, that was a beautiful throw. I mean, that throw was going to hit him right in stride, going to be a touchdown. But Jalen Kilgore, who I thought played a really impressive game for the Gamecocks yesterday, just made an absolutely unbelievable play. And you got to tip your cap to them. They've got a really talented roster. Even if it hadn't all come together this year, There's a lot of talent. They put a lot of resources into that team over there at South Carolina, and a couple of their players, including Dylan Stewart, including Monkel Goodwine, who used to be at Alabama, Kilgore, and others, made it difficult for Alabama's offense yesterday. But in the end, they made the plays when they needed. And I loved on the final drive, too, last point on the offense. Daniel Hill had a really physical run, that 11-yard gain, but there was one check down that Ty threw to Jam where Jam ran through a dude. And I don't know if you remember that. It was up the left sideline. And to me, it's a little thing, but that kind of showed me that this team, they kept fighting. They kept going. They kept chopping wood, and eventually the tree fell. So speaking of chopping wood and just, I think, battling their tail off, the Alabama defense yesterday was put in negative situation after negative situation, and they continually held the line. E-Bombay is what Kane Womack loves to say, and they played their tails off yesterday. No bigger than the play that Deontay Lawson and Tim Keenan made to strip Lenore Sellers, recover it, and get the ball back to the offense for the game-winning touchdown. What did you make of the defensive performance yesterday, Boo?
I mean, the guys played their tail off. I mean, they were on the field, seemed like the whole game. I know they were gassed in the fourth quarter. I mean, they just fought. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and we still had kind of the typical, there's that one big play that always screws us. Uh,
Yeah.
how you let the fastest man in college football get behind you, still don't know about how that happened. But, and then there was overall, though, I think they played good for the situation that they were put in.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, But some of the blitzing that we do at certain times, and I'm just like,
Right.
Kane, I know you want to get a sack right here, and it would be electric. Momentum would change, but like, it's okay to make them punt. You know what I mean? Like, or don't have to turn the ball. Or was it a fourth down that he did that on?
Yeah, it was fourth and
It
14,
was,
fourth and
yeah,
12.
fourth and
Yeah,
14, and did we send six or seven?
6. Yeah.
I'm just like, Kane, what are we doing, man? It's like it's like we're playing NCAA. I mean, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, overall, I mean, for the situation they were in, I thought they did a good job.
I'm glad that he brought up that point because we'll get the negative out of the way, and then it's going to be mostly praise for me for this unit and how they played. Um, it's same criticism that I had against Tennessee and against Mizzou, and to an extent against Georgia. Most of the big passing plays that have come against the Alabama defense is when they blitz 6 or more. And you know
Hmm.
that they're blitzing 6 or more, and they play man on the back end, and they make it easier for a quarterback to diagnose where they need to go with the ball. And on that play in particular, they run a deep dig, I think, to Lenore Sellers' brother, and it's an easy pitch and catch because the blitz doesn't get there. And they had the thing that I don't get, like I get blitzing an extra guy. Like I'm cool with that. There was a play, I believe it was in the third quarter where they held South Carolina to a field goal. They blitzed Zay Mincy and he rushed the throw and it was incomplete, but it was a great play by him. I'm cool with blitzing an extra guy, but when you blitz 6 at a time and you're playing man to man on the back end, you're just making it too easy for the quarterback. Did that against Tennessee. Georgia, they got a touchdown on you for doing that. Missouri on the final 2 drives of the game, that's how they got their big pass plays in the air. You need to rush 4 in those situations when you have them third and long, play zone on the back end, and let the quarterback, who typically struggles deciphering zone and where to go with the football, keep him in the pocket. And if he beats you that way, then you tip your cap and you play the next play. But you're just making it too easy doing this over and over and over again. But with that out of the way, this unit was on the field 32 or 33 minutes. This is one of the few times this year that Alabama did not win the time and possession. That is something that the Alabama offense has been outstanding at all year. And like you said, Boo, it felt like they were on the field for forever. But they bowed up in critical moments, man. The pick six that Deshaun Jones had was absolutely outstanding. was a big play in the game because the offense really hadn't given you anything to that point. I thought LT Overton played well. James Smith, Tim Keenan, Jan Pierre is becoming a bona fide stud before our eyes. Not only is he rushing the passer very effectively, which we have seen, we saw it last week. I think he's getting better against the run too. There was one play, I think it was on the third or fourth drive of the game. He sets a hard edge and then goes out and makes the tackle. I thought he was outstanding. I thought all three linebackers might have had their better games of the year as a group. Deontay Lawson made the play of the game, but I thought overall he was really good in pass coverage. I thought he played much better against the run. I thought Nakai Hill-Green, he played well against Tennessee, but I think he's coming on and playing better. I love how he plays downhill, and he has a physical presence about him. And then on the back end, they really, they had the one explosive where Keon Sabb looked to have rotated down and taken the under route where he should have been providing help over the top. Other than that, I thought they kept the passing game pretty much in check. Xavier Brown had an opportunity for an interception that he needs to make in the future. And then ultimately at the end of the game, you end it with a sack. You end it with Keon Keeley making a dadgum play, who has gotten an increased workload over the past few weeks and has made the most of his opportunities. And I think that again, man, being put with your back against the wall over and over and over again and just continually coming through, that is what makes you a great defense. And I think this unit has been playing great ball over this 5-game stretch, Boo.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And kind of one thing that I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed it too, we're doing a better job at getting to the quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like that's all we can do is get to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
There were multiple times, which I know Sellers, God, what is Sellers,
He's a great.
6'4", 240, 250, something like that. I'm sure he's hard to bring down, but we're getting there. We just have to finish because where
Mhm.
are we in sacks in the SEC? I'm sure we're in the bottom half.
Yeah, I know Tennessee, I know going into the game last week, they were number one. And I know Alabama's gotten better at it,
Hmm.
the past few weeks, but I would say toward the bottom end or probably middle of the pack is probably where they rank.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
maybe that's why Kane wants to blitz so much, so we can get that number up.
And maybe so. I think that is part of it. And I'm all about applying pressure to the quarterback. Like you need to do that. You need to disrupt the timing, get his internal clock sped up, and feel like he's got to get rid of the ball quicker than he actually does.
Mm.
Again, the issue is like if you're going to blitz, just don't bring 2 or 3 extra guys and leave it man to man on the back end, because if you don't get there, man, you are toast. I love
Yeah.
bringing an extra guy or two and really disguising it well on, like sending a corner off the slot or, if you double mug your linebackers, one comes and one drops in coverage, or if you got 6 guys up at the line, you know, you may have Yonze Pierre walked up, you get him to drop back, and you have your 2 linebackers coming to get another guy to drop back and kind of play with the picture that the quarterback's seeing a little bit. But I just think sometimes they're making it a little too easy on them. But to your point, I think they've done a better job at affecting the quarterback and kind of condensing the pocket and kind of collapsing it on them the past 3 or 4 weeks than they had previously. But they got Lenoir's down 2 or 3 times yesterday. There should have been 2 or 3 other times that they did, but he's a freakazoid as far as how he breaks tackles and how strong he is. So you got to sometimes you just got to tip your cap to him because he's a heck of a football player. But Boo, before we kind of move on, are there any other storylines that you want to kind of cover from this game before we move on and cover, a few other things that happen across the country this weekend?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about special teams
Okay, let's talk about it.
on the punt, and I know that we can't help it that it hit one of our guys coming down, but as the punt returner, do you not come up and make that play? call the fair catch and catch it, because if the defense runs into you or the defense
Mm-hmm.
pushes your player into you, that's a penalty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do we not have a guy we can put back there and say, hey, man, you catch everything?
Uh-huh. Well, what's interesting, and I do agree with you, is that a few people have come out, including Terry McCauley, who's like the NFL head official on like Sunday Night Football. He
Mhm.
said that that should have been a penalty on South Carolina, or that it shouldn't have been a fumble on us because he was pushed into the ball, basically.
Mhm.
Like it wasn't a thing of where Bach is running downfield and the ball just hits him and goes off. Like if you're engaged with a blocker like that, that it
Mhm.
should be like dead ball, Alabama ball in that instance. Um, because if Cole Adams would have come up there, yeah, um, he'd have been trampled because that blocker would have blocked Bach right into him, and then in that case, you don't know if the official was going to call a penalty on him or not. You know what I mean? Like I could
Yeah.
kind of see both sides there, but dude, I don't know about you, but when that play happened, I was like, oh, we might be Alabama might be toast in that moment because you had just gotten off
Mhm.
the field, made another big stop, and we're going to give the offense another opportunity. And then they got the ball in plus territory, and like you said, the defense had been on the field um, that whole time. But you couldn't be prouder of this team if you're an Alabama fan.
Mhm.
Savor it, even though it was ugly. Enjoy it. Got a bye week coming up. You get a stress-free football weekend for them to, kind of get refreshed, self-scout, and then finish the season strong with a stretch that's going to be tough in and of its own right, with LSU coming to town, then Oklahoma, then a Powder Puff, and then Auburn in Jordan Hare. So great win by the Tide. Great job by the captains of all coming through. Ty on offense, Lawson and Keenan on defense, and just a big win by Alabama. Well, Boo, let's transition to some other games that happen across the country, and we're going to hit these really quick. Um, man, Baton Rouge is burning right now. LSU was up 18-14 at half against Texas A&M. They were feeling good, and really it paralleled last year's game where they go into half, they're up on Texas A&M, they're feeling good about themselves, and then the second half, it was just a complete and utter disaster. A&M scores 35 straight unanswered. They win 39-25. LSU got a garbage time touchdown late to make it look a little better than it actually was. And now LSU is effectively out of the college football playoff race when they had lofty preseason expectations. And now their fans want Brian Kelly gone. And I personally think, whether it be by his own choice or whether it be by the AD wanting to get rid of him, I do not think Brian Kelly is going to coach at LSU next year, because you have too much talent on this football team to be 5-3 at this point in the season. And this is the fourth year in a row where you're not going to make the playoff with the talent at your disposal. And my favorite thing about watching an LSU game when things are going wrong, it is just Brian Kelly going up and down the sideline, yelling at this coach, yelling at that coach, mother effing one coach, mother effing the other coach. That is literally what he does. He's not actually, doesn't look like he's contributing to helping make any sort of adjustment. It's just completely dog cussing his entire coaching staff, and then not providing any solution to the actual problem. And at some point, brother, when you have cycled through multiple offensive coordinators, you got a new defensive coordinator who is supposed to come in and completely change this defense. I was told all season about how elite this LSU defense is now with Blake Baker. They're the same unit. They still struggle with mobile quarterbacks. They're not elite by any stretch of imagination, and your offense has taken a step back from last year. Your offensive line is awful. Garrett Nussmeier is hobbling up and down the field, and they can't run the ball very effectively. They ran a little better last night than they had been, but they're just kind of a disaster on both sides of the ball, and that might be a little hyperbolic, but I think last night might have been the final nail in the coffin for Brian Kelly at LSU, because this might be hubris on my part, Boo. I don't think that team is going into Bryant Denny in 2 weeks and winning as they are presently constructed. So if you leaving that game, if you're 5-4 and you still got Oklahoma left, there's a real good chance that you're looking at a 7-5 season. And if that happens, I think he's out of there. What do you make of all that, man?
I just feel bad for Nussmeier. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
dude's been there. I still don't think he's 100%.
Oh, he ain't even
Just
close.
and
Mm-mm.
just from what little bit I watched in the game, I mean, like you said, I mean, as a coach, you do have to chew butt. I mean, you got to get on
Yeah.
people,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, when you can see your guys are just miserable, that's not doing anything for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just LSU as a program is starting to see that.
Yeah.
I don't think they get rid of him this year. I don't. That's a lot
Mm.
of money, but
In his buyout, like 50 million.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's. But if they could work it out to where that other school hires him, and that's where someone says they could work it out. But I just who wants him though? That's another thing. So I mean I don't know. I feel bad for the guys at LSU because they're not having fun.
No, I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you. I like Nussmeier a ton last year. I think he definitely has flaws in his game, especially from a decision making perspective. But he is banged up. I mean, that dude after every game looks like Zach Mettenberger did after he played
Hmm.
Alabama in 2013, like basically having to crawl or hobble off the field because he continually. I mean, he just takes shot after shot after shot, and he has no help around him on the offensive line. They're putting way too much on his shoulders because they can't really run the ball effectively. And he just looks kind of beaten down by the world right now. And I mean, who
Yeah,
could blame him? Who
yeah.
could blame him? Because you came back with the expectation of we are going to win a national championship with the defense and the talent that we have coming in via the portal, the receivers we got coming in via the portal, and none of it has really materialized into what you thought it was going to be. Um, I'm with you. I feel bad for him. I don't know who would take Brian Kelly, but if I'm Penn State, I might take a swing at him because your options, your number one option was Matt Rule. Well, how's that looking for you? Nebraska has looked awful the past 2 or 3 weeks. I know they got to win they got to win yesterday, but they've been on the struggle bus for 2 or 3 weeks. Do you really think he's the guy to take your program to a level that James Franklin couldn't get it to? I personally don't. And Brian Kelly is from that area. I think he fits better up there because, I mean, talking about family, he don't fit LSU. He never did. He never did. I mean, he sounds like Michael Scott being Caleb Crawdad, playing, the Savannah murder mystery game. That's what he sounded like. And I just think he needs. I think he can. I think everyone agrees that he's a good coach. I don't think he's an elite coach by any stretch of imagination because he left Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's going to another level. Um, but he's never going to get LSU to where they expect to be. And there are plenty of people who would be very, very interested in that LSU job if it comes open. But again, we're getting to the point where there's all these job openings, all these quality job openings, and not enough quality head coaching candidates to fill them. So buyer beware or seller beware, however you want to look at it. If you're an AD looking to fire your coach, you better be dang sure that you can get somebody who you think is going to be a suitable replacement. Would you agree with that, Boo?
Oh, 100%. I mean, there's a few guys out there that everybody wants, but I mean, I know everybody talks about Kiffin, but does Kiffin leave what he's got? I mean, they love him. I'm sure Ole Miss would come up with some more money to keep him.
Mm-hmm.
I do think he would entertain LSU more than Florida,
Mm-hmm.
but
And
I don't know if he leaves.
well, I'm in lock. I think that's a kind of the contrarian take, but I agree with you. If it's 10 years ago, I think Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss to go to Florida.
Mhm.
But it's not 2015 anymore. We're in 2025 where there's rev share, where every team has a salary cap now. Every team is kind of playing with the same amount of money, and you know how well that they do in the portal. You know that Ole Miss has given him everything that he has asked for and more. Like you said, Florida offered him allegedly $13.5 million. Ole Miss will gladly pay that to keep him there. And he's showing at Ole Miss that he can win there. I mean, they have had the greatest run of success in their history, and this might be his best team yet. You go on the road yesterday in a top 15 environment at Oklahoma, and you get a win, and he's revered at Ole Miss. Where at Florida, if he goes 8-4, they're going to want him fired, just like they did Dan Mullen. So if I'm him, I think he's happy and he's content. I don't think he goes to Florida. I'm with you. If he leaves, I think it's for LSU because I do think that is a better job than Florida. But I don't necessarily think in this era of college football that Florida is a better job than Ole Miss. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Well, before we kind of move on to a couple other quick storylines, I know we talked about the LSU side of it. You got to give credit to Mike Elko and that Texas A&M team. I know that we've talked all year about how LSU has its warts, and I think A&M, their strengths really lined up with the warts of LSU, and they took full advantage of them. Again, they basically did what Alabama did to LSU last year when they won 42-13 and had Tiger Stadium empty by the end of it, only filled with Texas A&M fans. It meant something to them because the first thing, and I did not know this, the first thing that Brian Kelly apparently did when he got to LSU was he fired the legendary and revered Tommy Moffitt, the strength and conditioning coach at LSU that Nick Saban had hired when he went to LSU back in like 01. That was the first thing that Brian Kelly did. Where's he at now? Texas A&M, and they went into LSU and just completely belt to tail made them quit. So I think they're going to Atlanta at this point. Schedule sets up really nicely. They got Texas at the end of the year, which, man, Mississippi State, y'all broke all of our hearts. I can't believe you blew that game to Texas. But I think they're a really dangerous football team. They've got a lot of really good pass rushers, and they're an explosive offense. So credit to Mike Elko and to that Aggie football team. Moving on real quick, Auburn gets a big win against Arkansas. I know for you Auburn fans out there that you are happy. You get another week of Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze saved his job for another week. And in true Hugh Freeze fashion, goes to the podium and talks about, man, we could be at 5 wins or 6 wins or 7 wins. Heck, we could be undefeated at this point. I live for Hugh Freeze press conferences to try to pull a magic trick on the Auburn fan base of what you see is not actually what you see because we're so close and everything. But good win for them. They finally made a change at quarterback. Their defense played lights out in the second half, and they got a big win. And I know, Boo, I'm going to kick it to you. Vandy gets a huge win against Mizzou. Game days in Nashville. What do you make of Vandy, dude? They have a legit shot to get in the college football playoff, and they're a team I don't think anybody in the country would want to play.
No, I mean, Vandy's just kind of come out of nowhere, but I think that's kind of just how college football is now. I mean, if you look at Vandy, they're in a great place you'd want to go to school at. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of money coming in. I bet you there's some people that graduated from Vandy that like to donate.
Oh yeah,
Uh, their coach, loved the guy. I mean, dude's awesome.
me too. Mm-hmm.
Just great guy. You can obviously tell he knows what he's doing. Quarterback, I love Pavia, but at the same time, imagine if Clark Lee gets a 4 or 5 star quarterback. Not saying Pavia is not great, but like
Mm-hmm.
dude is playing well above where he should be. And
Agreed.
that could be a force if
I
they
totally agree
put the
with that.
money
I
into
think
that
Pavia is a
program.
baller,
I honestly
and I
think in
think.
the next, yeah, that's
Oh,
so.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, if yeah, man, if they could be a force if they put some money into the program and really commit, and in the next 5 years, I mean, everybody might be chasing Vandy in the SEC. Never
It's
thought
a crazy world.
I'd say that, but ooh,
We're living in crazy times, my friend. So it's not an outlandish statement by any stretch of the imagination to say that because I agree with you. I think Pavia is the definition of a gamer that gets every ounce of God-given ability that he has. He gets
Hmm.
out of himself week in and week out, makes plays for his team when needed. But they had Jared Curtis, who is a 5-star quarterback that is committed to Georgia. They had him on campus for this game. If they flip him, I mean, the apocalypse might come out of nowhere in the next week or two because that would be truly unprecedented if that happens. And I think Clark Lee getting a guy like that to pair with everything else they're doing right at Vandy, they got a really good defense. They run the ball well. They're a physical football team. And again, they are really good in critical moments. And even though you got to give credit, Mizzou put up a heck of a fight. And Bo Prabula went out in like the third quarter, um, broke his ankle, and they still had a chance to win. They came up basically 1 yard short of tying the football game. I don't know if you saw the end of that game, Boo. They threw a Hail Mary, and he caught it at the 1 yard line and was 1 yard short. And if he's in the end zone, they tie up, they go to overtime. So I think both Mizzou and Vandy are two really good football teams. And I think this is kind of an overarching thing for the whole season. Vandy is kind of working and taking advantage of the clock rules, the new clock rules in college football, of shortening the game, getting limited plays for the opposition, and being able to execute in those high leverage situations because, the clock no longer stops when you get a first down outside of under 2 minutes in the second and fourth quarter, and it's shortening and condensing games. Like I believe yesterday, Alabama only got 11 possessions. So there is a thing of there's more parity, there is more talent kind of displaced evenly across the country, but teams that have a greater talent disparity are having less possessions to really kind of pull away from the competition. And so I think that's a lot of the time why you're seeing some of these more of these like one score games, week in and week out. And I think Vandy kind of epitomizes that with the way that they play football. Mm-hmm. You got anything to add on that?
No, man, I mean, I'm good with Vandy. Let's say I said
Okay.
they could be that team in the next couple of years. I
Yeah,
mean,
they
for real. I
absolutely.
mean, as a recruit, I'd love to, you know, be in Nashville on the
Mhm.
weekends, and there are a lot more things to do in Nashville versus being in Tuscaloosa. I mean, they've just got a lot of stuff going for them that if they play it right,
Mhm.
that could be a force.
No, I 100% agree. And they're investing a ton of money in that football program, a ton of money into that stadium.
Hmm.
And so I'm with you. If you haven't bought stock in Vandy yet, this ain't your granddad or your dad's Vandy. I think this Vandy is built to stay for the future. And it's been really in my lifetime, one of the truly incredible stories of college football that I've ever witnessed going from the outhouse to the penthouse in a lot of respects. So with that out of the way, Boo, do you have anything else to say before we close out the show? It's been a pleasure having you on, man, and I've loved talking ball with you.
Oh yeah, man, appreciate being here, and let's get a roll tide, get healed up, and go back at it.
Absolutely. That's a good way to put it. Roll tide, heal up, and get right back at it. And we will be back at it next week on the Pigskin Cafe, covering week 10 of college football. We appreciate each and every one of you for listening week after week. We appreciate your support more than you know. If you made it this far and you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. It's really easy and it means a lot to us. Leave us a like on the video, leave us a comment of what you thought of Alabama beating South Carolina and the other many takeaways that we discussed during the video. And be sure to follow us on social media. We will be back next week to break it all down, but the Pigskin Cafe is going to be closed for now. But until next week, chew on that.